We spoke the other day about the starter mechanism and how it was missing off this little CL350 we're working on. But I've got one here right in front of me just now. And you may remember that when I tried to start it previously, there was a kind of god-awful screeching noise from the starter, which is indicative of dry bearings within the starter. So I've got the starter off in front of me right here just now, so I'll show you one or two things. Okay, whatever, here's the starter motor, and within that, at the end of it is a thing called a planetary mechanism. So called because that represents the sun and these represent the planets. And when that rotates, these spin round there and they turn that part there they spin that hub off that part, which is called the annulus. And that rotates the spline at the end, and bingo, the drive turns at the end. So I looked in the end here, and this was all full of god-awful crap and gunk, where the guy that's had it previously has just been hitting the starter to try and get it to spin up the starter clutch here. And eventually what happens is they just knacker the starter motor. But given that this started up, hang on a minute. Given that this motored up reasonably well, I'm going to take a chance and put it back on and see if it works in the way that we hope it might. Sitting next to it is the starter clutch with the hub that sits in there and the little gear that goes on that spline there and the chain that drives it. So let's pop all these on the bike just now. I'm going to put the starter back on. It's been off before, I can tell, because the cable was sitting around the front of the starter motor as opposed to being tucked neatly around the back. So it's been off before, which is something of a worry, but I may be worrying over nothing. So let's pop all this back together and we'll get it back on the bike. And those marks there line up, and then pop this into there. Come on. And just to make sure it aligned, I scratched some little marks on there. A bit crude, I know, but now I can pop that back together. I've cleaned these up and I've put a little bit of copper grease on the end, as you might be able to see there. So when it goes together, so if it ever needs to come apart again, the guy that follows me gets it a wee bit easier. I'll use this driver because, as ever, the correct screwdriver is not to hand. Okay, that'll go back in now. It rotates nicely. So let's pop it back in, and then we can put the starter clutch in. Okay, the starter's back in there now, with the cable tucked nicely behind there as it should. There should be a shroud over that, and I've got one somewhere over the live connector to the starter. But when I connect the battery up and hit the starter, at least it motors up as it should now, and it doesn't make that awful screeching noise that it made previously. So we'll put the starter clutch on now. That sits thus. Sorry, that's the hub there, and you can see that sits now like that. There's a little slipper that goes in there to guide that, which I'll put on afterwards. And then the starter clutch, there's a little key in there you might be able to see. I'll just show it to you. That's called a Woodruff key, sitting there, a little kind of half moon key. It's called a Woodruff key, and that locates the hub onto the shaft. So I need to get that aligned correctly. Now see, it's just come out of its little housing there. Try again, making sure that's okay. Just come round. That's it. And it's located there. I'll run this in to secure it. And I won't over tighten it just now. Okay. But that should spin the engine over, so let's give it a whirl. There's no reason why I shouldn't do it. There we are, bingo, we've got a winner. I hope. So that's not to say that it'll necessarily work. That's not to say that it'll necessarily work under pressure. So I'll put the side cover back on just now, bolt it up tight, put the wee slipper on, and we'll come back in a moment. Hi everyone, right, we're getting a bit further with this now. We have the starter clutches back on and it works as we would hope. I'll show you that in a moment. And now we are going to time it up. I've got the advanced retard mechanism in where it should be, and we've got a live up to it also. I'll just show you that. Hang on. We've got the exhaust system back on, and we have the generator cover, etc. back on, and you can see there the advanced retard mechanism's in and it's secured, and we have the it's kind of ready to time up. Right, I'm going to rotate this now, the generator, to the point where that LF, that's left firing, is against that little marker on the housing. So I'll rotate that very carefully, and you'll just see it's going to come up to that. And I have my little test light here, and this should open as those points open, those contact breaker points open. That tells me it's exactly the right point. So I'll rotate this now to the L left firing there. And now go up to the points here, and we will see the test light doesn't come up. The test light isn't lit, but I'll continue to rotate this now. I'll move this plate. And you'll see as the points open, there we are. That is, they're just opening there. That's us on exactly the right point for timing the engine. So I'll nip this up, and then I'm going to put some fuel in it. I'm going to see if we can get a run out of it. So let's try. Right, let's put our fuel supply on, which is round here. I've hung it up, and I'm going to switch some fuel on now. Let's give it a second to fill the carbs up. Let's see if it'll do anything for us. Put the plug caps back on because I took those off. Let's just see if it'll do the do for us. Well, I think that's a great result. And whilst I hoped it would fire, you're never sure that it's actually going to work as you expect. So for it to fire as cleanly as that the first time out is really, really a great result. It's a wee bit rattly, so I'll set the tappets up. And I can secure all this properly now, put the generator cover back on and secure the exhaust properly. I will have to take it back off to put the side panels and things on, but it's a great result and shows us that the bike is basically very healthy. So we've got a 13,000 mile bike now. We know it runs, so I can start doing things like polishing the wheels up and making sure that, doing all the pretty stuff. So, well, I'm delighted, guys. So let's talk soon. Cheers.